Welcome back to another episode of Young, Not Dumb, Not Broke. I'm your host, Stephen Corner, the mortgage man from Glass Financial with...
Joshua Mason, Quio Dining, CL Wines.
And today I am in the guest seat. So,
Why do we sound so serious, by the way?
It's been a long week. It's been a very long week. How have you felt this week, Josh?
I'm going to talk really serious. Mate, to be honest, interesting week, interesting times, and interesting future of what's happening. Has been for me in hospitality. And I think the really cool thing is, with you dealing with money and me dealing with face-to-face consumer, I get to see what's happening on the ground level. And, mate, it's interesting out there. It's a tough market. There's things shifting. There's a market that's changing rapidly, and that market is a market that is worried and scared. They don't know what to do. And I think people just batten down the hatches a little bit.
Do you mean people are spending less money at restaurants?
Absolutely.
Why do you think that is?
Well, mate, I strongly believe that there's a lot of households in distress right now. A lot of people who are a bit unsure about how to pay their mortgage, what to do. People who have probably bought in the last year as well. I think it's going to be pretty tough to come to grips that your mortgage has just doubled. So I think there is generally in the market now a shift that money's tight, and whatever you have, you need to hold on to it. And yeah,
That's interesting because I'm not seeing the same thing getting people home loans, or even my existing clients who have loans. The amount of mortgage stress that I've seen now is probably like 1% of people. I haven't seen a huge increase of mortgage stress like the news is portraying that it's going to occur. Yes, things are getting tighter for a lot of people. And I guess the mortgage stress isn't really coming because they're stopping to go out for dinners or buying luxury goods. Like, remember the Rolex watch market like 2 years ago?
Oh, mate, they jumped up higher than the stocks did.
It was like double the value to buy Rolex. Mate. And now it's all nearly back to cost.
Yep.
Cost price.
Yeah, mate, there's a lot of corrections coming. And I think, what do we do moving forward? There's probably not a hell of a lot we can do.
Yeah.
I think... all of us need to be smart about where we put our money, what we do with it, and how we enjoy it, really. How do we enjoy it? So, enjoy your local places. Try to still maintain a decent standard living.
Yep.
But, hey, I can understand and I can emphasize the point that, if people out there with a fixed salary that they've signed off and all of a sudden their mortgage is double, where they're going to find that gap.
Correct.
And the interesting thing for me right now is that... we still have this very weird situation where we have a staffing crisis next to a financial crisis, but I still don't have any more reach to any new staff. So it means that people have money, but it looks like people are hanging on to their money and waiting for the time to come where they're going to roll off their fixed rates or actually just now absorbing all that extra cost. Without the fact that they probably need to go and get a part-time job or a casual job on the weekend. We haven't seen any great, I could say, influx of people saying, I need a casual job just to make ends meet yet.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Well, and what I've seen as well is it's actually not that bad. Like, people can still make their mortgage repayments. But the next 9 months will be the telltale sign, because this is when 2 years ago, we were fixing people for 2 years. From pretty much now until the end of the year.
Yep.
There'll be a lot of fixed rates come off. I, however, decided mid 2 years ago, so July 2 years ago, to fix most of my clients for 3 years, even myself personally. So a lot of people won't even come off till the following year. Right. So it's not going to be a massive jump and the whole world's going to end. A lot of people are going to come off fixed this year, and then next year, some people had 4-year fixed rate, year after. 4 years for 1.84%.
Beautiful.
Right? So it's going to be a slow transition, and I don't think we're going to see the drop as dramatically as the media is portraying, because they're making it sound like people aren't buying houses. Right now, if you go to any suburb where housing prices are under $1 million, on the weekend, there are 20 to 30 groups walking through open homes to buy houses. This week, we have lodged the most amount of pre-approvals that I have lodged in probably 2 years this week. So people are still wanting to buy. And the data from CoreLogic, who's the biggest property researcher in Australia, shows that housing prices across Australia are starting to stabilise now. Because if you look at the graph, it's a really cool bar graph. And it starts in February 2022, and it starts with a little decrease. And then each month after that, the decrease gets up to about 1% decrease in property prices. And then last February, the decrease was pretty much non-existent. So there's a curve of no decrease, decreases, and then no decreases again. So the property prices now are starting to stabilise where they're going to sit for, I believe, the next year or two. I don't see this cliff. I don't see the dramatic drop in prices occur. Maybe we're not at the bottom. Maybe there's a little bit more of a correction going. But I expected a lot worse than what I'm seeing.
Well, I think we probably haven't really entered the dungeon yet fully. We almost have. But if we look at particular industries, like the housing industry, like everyone needs to be housed. They need a home. And it's one of the most important assets of your life. You're going to put all your energy and resource into the most important asset, which is your home, or to live somewhere. But when it comes to discretional spending, there was a statement from a gentleman who actually sits very high up on the RBA, saying that he wants people to think twice about going out for dinner. Things like that is basically using psychology techniques to fearmonger communities and let them double think about what they're doing with their money.
Correct.
And it's quite hard to go. I house a lot of staff, I look after a lot of people, and that's how I see it. And when we're promoting out there to think twice about going out for dinner, which is our profession, my apprentices' life, I'm training them, managers, all this type of stuff. Suppliers ringing saying, why aren't you ordering as much? Wine suppliers ringing saying, oh, you've really cut down your orders and whatnot. Mate, I'm not the only one saying this. Yeah. Go into the city and have a look at some of these big guys, mate. They're empty for lunch. Mate, I was at a restaurant the other day for dinner. Gorgeous restaurant. Gorgeous. They've spent millions on the place, mate. Millions. I was one of 3 tables.
Wow.
For dinner in a venue which they would have spent $5 million on.
Yeah, wow.
One of 3 tables for dinner.
Yeah.
In Sydney CBD, right next door to Louis Vuitton. Serious deal, mate.
Yeah, right.
Mate, we're talking the main strip of the main city of Australia.
Across from the Apple Store.
3 tables.
Across from the Apple Store.
3 tables in the most beautiful building that I've seen. It's a new venue.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
But mate, that's the shift right now. The shift is interesting.
I guess I'm not seeing the outside of mortgage thing because people, like you mentioned, still need houses. And the last thing people will do is give up their house.
Totally.
So they cut back on everything else first.
100%.
And then the house is the absolute last thing they're going to give up on.
It's that big scary word, discretional spend. What does that really mean? It means things that you don't really need to spend on that you could easily cut back on.
Yeah, and see if you look at the psychology and the actual economics behind what the Reserve Bank does, if you look at studies, it shows that an interest rate increase has the same effect on spending as you believing there's going to be an increase. So they don't even have to increase the rates in order to curb your spending.
Yeah.
They just have to make you think that the rates are going to increase. It's an economic theory. It's literally an economic theory.
But instead we get 10 in a row.
Well, in terms of that, and I don't know, banks and whatnot come at me for this. I love you all, but 18 months ago, end of 2021, I saw the market. I had clients who were used cars dealers. Used cars selling more than new cars. There was luxury watches, luxury bags, all selling for above. And I was like, where is all this money coming from? I'm like, something's wrong because inflation isn't increasing and the rates aren't increasing, but there's all this spending occurring. So that's what was my decision when I had discussions with clients. I go, hey, I know the Reserve Bank said they're not going to increase rates until 2024. I said, I think they're wrong. We should consider doing a 3-year fixed rate. I took my investment properties, fixed them for 3 years at that point. And because of that, now we're in a position where last year, they not only increased it once, they've increased it 8 times, I believe. 8 consecutive increases. History's made.
History's made.
And I saw that. And I'm just your average punter, right? From Sydney. I'm a mortgage broker and have understanding of the economy, but I'm not a high-level executive who gets paid $1 million a year to make important decisions that affects the entire economy in the country's future.
Oh, and we're talking about someone who sat there and said, whether you like it or you don't, I'm contracted for 7 years. I'm going.
Did you actually say that?
I ain't going nowhere.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
I'm not going to quote
He
that.
ain't going nowhere.
I need some proof on that one.
No, he ain't going nowhere, he said. Fuck.
Look, I believe...
One job. Communicate the people of Australia and guide them through the journey that you promised.
See, with the interest rates, them saying until 2024, I believe why their mindset came from that is because these people who make major decisions for the economy, they are people who are living the upper end of town. So they aren't on the ground floor seeing what's actually occurring. There is some disconnect from that. I know they look at research and data, but research and data don't capture the emotions and actions of humans.
No.
Who is what fundamentally drives markets in the short term. I think it was Keynesian. Keynes said markets are driven in the short term by emotion, long term by fundamentals. So that's where they miss it. So they're just like, okay, I'm pretty wealthy. I have a $5 million house. I believe he lives in a $5 million house in the eastern suburbs. They don't actually what the rest of the country is experiencing and what's going on, because they're not buying a used car, right?
Yeah.
They're not buying a used car. They're not buying, well, even if they do buy groceries, what's an extra $100?
Mate, they're rocking straight up to Mercedes-Benz.
Correct. So that's obviously where the disconnect is, and they should have some type of forum or committee where you have business owners throughout the country who make comments on what they're seeing. Because the way I heard this information is my different clients who own businesses, and they say, hey, this is happening in my business. I'm like, oh, that's odd. That's happening in this business too. Like, that's happening in this business too.
Yeah.
And that's how I made the prediction. And it was correct.
Oh, we had a meeting with the accountant today, and the accountant basically says, well, all of our hospitality clients are in a very similar position. So we sit in unity with each other, all going, okay, where to from here?
Yeah.
There's plenty of risks associated with every move that we take right now.
And I think the mortgage stress, not thinking about the interest rates, right? I think the mortgage stress could come from small businesses not earning enough money now because the clients aren't coming in, and then their mortgage is being affected.
I'm cutting their hours.
Correct.
So now I'm cutting staff hours.
And I think that is the bigger determinant of what stress is going to look like, not the interest rates. Why the Reserve Bank, and this is very interesting for everyone at home, might be interesting for some people, but banks increase interest rates. Well, the Reserve Bank increased interest rates in order to control inflation. Because if we have too much inflation, then we end up like Zimbabwe when we have 100 million Zimbabwe dollars is like $2. I don't know what the conversion is now, but that's what it was like 10 years ago, right? When that happens, hyperinflation happened in World War One, where people in Germany were wheelbarrowing notes down the street to buy bread. That's bad, right? That's bad for the economy. So the interest rates curve the inflation. That's the only fundamental part of it. The issue with monetary policy now, the question is, does it still work in this current day and age? Based on the wealth disparity and based on our current factors. Over the past 40 years, they've actually changed monetary policy 3 different ways. Like, we started at the gold standard, where every dollar was gold, and then the dollar standard to US dollar, and then the monetary policy. America started using quantitative easing after their GEC, but that's the 4th one. So the question is, what actually is going to help? And when does it stop? Because inflation hasn't slowed down.
Not yet.
The issue, once again, another issue with how the economic models are written, inflation, they don't explain to people what inflation is. Like, do you know what inflation is?
Well, for me, if I was to look at it holistically, it'd be, the rise of commodities
Correct.
in the country.
Correct. You know how they calculate that? They take my understanding of this, so
Comment
Fact
below
check
if
it.
we're wrong.
yeah. Well, I just don't know the number I'm going to say. I believe they take 25 basic goods that the average person needs to live, like fuel, bread, things like that.
Electricity, maybe. I don't know.
Potentially that. But they take a basket of goods, they call it. It's about 25 goods. And they track the changing price year to year on those particular 25 goods. And that's how they determine inflation.
For me, that's not good enough.
Well, that's the thing. With all the access to data we have now, is it different? I don't know. My understanding of it is that's how it works. And that can be skewed as well, like any data. So is it correct? Don't know, but they're going to stick to it now. We're in it.
Well, mate, they've definitely stuck to their guns.
We're in it.
We're in it for the long haul this year.
Yeah.
And when everyone thought that there was going to be a bit of a break, all of a sudden the language has disappeared, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, just get into that one.
Yeah, we won't go in. We obviously don't want to go into it, but in a sense to
The spicy cough.
now
it doesn't exist anymore,
doesn't
right?
exist anymore.
You know, I was talking to my dad the other day. I was helping my uncle move in. I was with my dad. And I said to him, I go, how ridiculous is it that 2 years ago, we couldn't even leave our house. If we left our house, the police would fine us and make us go home, right? We couldn't leave 5 kilometers of our house because we all had to get vaccinated because the vaccine would stop people getting. But now we have more cases than we ever did during the period, and everyone just walks around with it and nothing's wrong. How fucking nuts is that?
Honestly,
It's incredible. Imagine having kids in 20 years and you telling them, hey, for like 4 months, we couldn't leave the house, otherwise the police would arrest us. And we all had to line up in a line for them to give us a vaccine. It's like a fucking movie.
it's fucking ridiculous. If someone was to say to me today, listen, you're going to have to shut your business almost for 2 years. We're going to lock you up in your house for quite a while. Is that okay? I'll tell him to go fuck himself. Why you tell me what to do?
Yeah, 100%. It's
But
nuts.
for some weird reason or another, I had fucking council members and police coming around checking my restaurant every day, making sure there was no illegal activity inside the restaurant.
Crazy.
Illegal.
You look, if the vaccine and whatnot solved everything, that would actually make sense because we'd be like, okay, we did that. And look, it probably did help locking everyone in the house to, lower the pressure on hospitals and, making people more immune. I'm not a vaccine expert. I don't know, okay? Not saying how effective the lockdown was. All I'm saying now is more people have COVID than they did during the period, and they're allowed to walk around without any isolating.
I'm going to interject here.
Oh, here he is.
Hello, everyone. This is God.
That's Brendan, our
That is
producer.
God, yeah.
So first of all, Stephen, stop saying the C word because I have a lot of beeps to put out now. Otherwise, we're going to get that stripped. The other thing is, the thing that I thought was really interesting about that was how the lockdown affected different industries. One of the main things that I do is wedding photography and film. And, we didn't work for nearly 2 years. Now, when the first lockdown came out, where it was going to be a fortnight, and then they actually put a ban on, I don't know if you remember, the construction industry.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Oh, for 2 weeks. I remember that.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
The
Mate,
world
they were
ended. They were
rallying in the
they were
streets, mate.
Absolutely. So the people that, couldn't work for 2 weeks kicked up such a stink that they said, okay, well, everyone has to stay at home, but these guys can go to work. But then there's other industries like you, Josh, in the restaurant industry.
Off.
Myself, a big part of my work is the wedding industry. We couldn't work for nearly 2 years, before it got back to normal.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mate, I didn't see chefs or hospo people or sommeliers running around with knives or champagne savers in the street going, give us back our restaurant. Like, but for 2 weeks, the construction industry, and mate, construction stops in the country stops. I get it.
Correct.
But the way it was handled was a fucking mess.
Crazy. Yeah.
Mate.
It is. You know, the issue is, though, if you're in a position of power and every other country in the world's doing it, are you going to be the one who tries to stick their neck out and go against the grain? Probably not, because then you can be blamed for something. So what they've done is justified because it happened throughout the world. But you know what? You never know what's right or wrong in it. When you come out of things, it's easy to look back and say, we should have done this, we should have done that. Really? Could have been handled better, but you never know when you're in the situation.
You don't.
You do what you can, and
hindsight's a good thing. But
it's a good thing. Yeah.
What do you do? At the end of the day, we all need to move on, push on. There's a much bigger mountain to climb always, and at the moment, we're in the middle of a mountain of confusion in the market, and for a lot of people, this is not a situation of doom and gloom. This is a situation of holding tight, and a situation of just being smart with what you need, with the resources in front of you, and that's really all we can do at the moment. There's a mess in front of us, and we just need to sweep it up and try to get on with it.
And look, everything will work itself out because it always does. We always have economic downturns on average every 10 years. We were overdue for one. We thought it was going to be during COVID, but then apparently it wasn't.
Delayed.
Guess so.
Mate, water always finds its level.
It will. It 100% will. And we just don't know how long it's going to be for. I'm still seeing a lot of positive sentiment in the market in terms of purchasing houses. People are still buying houses. That might change in 6 months. I don't know. When the rates go up probably again next month or the month after, it could shift again.
It'd actually be interesting to know. You mentioned, Stephen, about the 25 commodities that you presume that they measure to see what inflation is. It'd actually be interesting to see exactly what those are, and if the massive lockdown that we had actually increased inflation on those items specifically.
Yeah, right.
Because, if it's household items, well, people went from being at work from 8 to 10 hours a day to all of a sudden being at home 24/7. So, of course, household items are going to increase.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally.
So now we've gone back into the world somewhat to what it used to be. I know there's still a lot of work from home and everything, but is the commodities that they were tracking affected by that massive lockdown, and now it's back to normal, and they're still said, okay, well, we're gonna do this anyway.
Oh, here we go. I was incorrect. It's 25. They actually now, the Australian Bureau of Statistics collects thousands of items which are grouped into 87 categories.
Okay.
So it's different now. So they actually weight different things in different categories. So, like, for example, all the items in housing are weighted 23%. All the items in food are weighted 17%. All the items in health are 7%. Education's 5%. So different things have different weightings. So the highest weighting is housing, and then food and non-alcoholic beverages. So that was wrong. So look at that. Fact check. Told you. Fact checking.
Still, it's like, okay, there was... household items is a large portion of that 20% or whatever you said.
Housing plus non-alcoholic food and beverages is 40%.
Yeah, and how many people joined the Uber Eats bandwagon while they're in lockdown?
Yeah. And then we add on...
If people realise that they can't cook themselves.
Uber Eats took 30% of everything we made. We're basically just making shit for free.
And if we add alcohol and tobacco into that mix, it's half of the weighting of inflation.
We're in Australia. Say no more.
Correct.
We're all piss pots.
CL1s.
Plug.
No shame.
There's the ad. Oh, cut. Yeah, no, interesting times, mate. It's not all gloom and doom. We got to stay positive. We got to have a positive mind frame. But the viewers, you can obviously see that every once in a while, Steve and I just like to get together and I guess talk topics of today. So today was coming off a pretty heavy week for all of us. Brenda now produces her. We pretty much all walked into the studio today going, fuck,
Yeah,
what a week. It was
we
so
did.
weird. Like, you came in and went, fuck. I came in and went, oh, fuck. And then Brenda came in and went, fuck.
It was
I've got such a big weekend.
it was
everybody.
double.
It was
Double
honestly like a
grumpy.
fuck fest as everyone walked in. So it was just interesting because, we definitely wanted to sit down and just have like a really good chat about, not only just about us and about our own professions, but it was quite interesting that we all came in with the exact same mentality today that this was a fucked week.
Well, it is a full moon this week.
There we go.
So-
the crazies are out.
So I can't remember what it was.
What was it?
Fact check time.
I need to fact check that too. However, there's a shift of energy occurring. So a lot of people this week have been feeling not great because of the shift in energy that's created by the full moon, apparently. And it's like, it doesn't happen all the time on a full moon, but it's like one of the 5 cycles.
And it's been a blood moon too.
Has it?
Yeah.
Bloody fucking moon, that one.
Spooky.
Oh, mate, I've felt an energy shift this week. I've been trying to
It's the moon.
work against it by going to the gym a lot and just pushing myself a bit harder than I usually would, just trying to, I guess, overcome it. But yeah, there's been some interesting feels this week.
It's a
really
moon.
interesting feels.
Told you.
Fucking moon.
It's a moon.
Fucking
It's the moon.
give us some good fucking energy, moon.
Yeah, next week.
Fucking better.
Apparently, during this phase, you're not meant to change anything dramatically. You're meant to just let things as they are and not make any big changes
Okay. Fuck.
until next week.
Damn it.
Until next week, and
All
that's
right,
the start
moon.
of something new.
What? Now I start fucking bending over for the moon? Anything else? Anything else? What? The moon dictates what I want to fucking do?
Well,
All right, Mr. Moon.
look, honestly,
do
like,
anything weird this week?
in Transformers,
Fuck.
like there are Transformers on the moon, Dark Side of the Moon. If you've seen that, so it makes sense. No, I'm gonna put it this way: the moon thing and
Should we start howling?
the moon thing and energy and whatnot. It sounds very I don't want to use that. That's not a nice term. It's very airy fairy, right? People are like, zodiac signs and all this stuff, like, don't believe in it. My opinion, though, is that there's actually basis in people feeling different from different tides or from different moons. And it really comes down to a couple of factors. One, which is proven and is a widely accepted theory in physics, called E equals mc squared, created by Einstein. Well, not created, theorized by Einstein, where energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Okay, so that goes to show that energy is determined by mass times traveling very fast. When you couple that with the laws of thermodynamics, it says that energy cannot be created or destroyed; it can only be transferred.
Yeah.
And what are our bodies made up of? Made up of small atoms that have protons, neutrons, and electrons vibrating very quickly. So we're all just energy. So being able to shift energy, feel energy from other things, in theory, to me, even scientifically, it makes 100% sense. I don't see any world in which that doesn't occur. And that's why the moon thing to me isn't so, it sounds crazy, but that shift in energy, literally proven by physics and widely accepted, that's how most things are created using those laws, literally explains the shift of energy. And when people talk about they can feel other people's energy, if you look at physics, in theory, it makes sense.
Mate, it happens all the time to me. Like, I'm around a lot of people, 1,500 to 2,000 people a month. And you find that when you build personal connections with people, the more you bounce each other's energy off each other. And, like, randomly, I could send a message out to somebody for a helping hand. They'd be like, fuck, how'd you know? I just be like, I don't know. I just felt like I needed to reach out. It happened the other day. I randomly reached out to somebody. Random. This is random as fuck. This is the truth. Happened the other day. I was actually at the beach down in a place called Balmoral. and I was sitting there with my family, and I randomly sent a message to somebody who was going through a tough time. This is a Sunday, and randomly sent a message going, "Hey, hope you're all right. I know you're having a tough day, but like you'll get through it. If you need anything, reach out." And I went home, looked at my phone. This person wrote back going, "Fuck, how'd you know I was having a tough day?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm not sure. I just felt like I had the need to reach out to you today. I don't know why." No word of a lie. That person was at Balmoral Beach.
No.
Swear to fucking God.
What happened if you saw them out of the corner of your eye?
Didn't.
But you didn't see them?
Didn't.
How do you
Didn't.
know?
I had no idea.
How do you know?
No idea.
How do you know though?
What?
Your brain will see things.
No.
Without telling you.
I was legit with my family having a bit of a family get together meeting in a restaurant.
Yeah, right.
Had no idea, and the conversation came afterwards. Like, oh yeah, I was like just down by the beach with the family, and I just felt like I'd reach out, and that person was like, "Oh yeah, I was at the beach today too." Next conversation was, "What beach?" "Balmoral." "Oh, me too." Fucking weird. So weird.
See, his energy got so close to you, you felt it.
Yeah, fuck it sounded kind of hot, but anyway.
I sound like I was taking the piss then. Look, it actually, I believe it exists. I don't see. Who created the law of thermodynamics? Was it Isaac Newton?
No.
I think it was Isaac
Man,
Newton.
I think energy is like super important. Like I think, you know, I can walk into my restaurant with a fucking big energy, mate, and shit happens. I can walk into the restaurant with shit energy. And I tell you what, my staff can feel it before I even walk in the door, and they go, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Happens all the time.
Who's the founder? Oh no, it was developed simultaneously by Julius Robert Mayer and James Prescott Joule. However, a closer look at history shows that this notion is not tenable. James Watt had a clear vision of energy conversion and conservation. He did. Yeah, it wasn't Newton. It was. Oh no, there's another two here: Rudolf Clausius and Wilson Thompson. I'm getting no luck here. It looks like it was Clausius.
Whoa, how interesting is this? We're researching on the job.
This
Brendan.
is awesome. This is just off the cuff. Bit of economic theory, bit
This
of
is raw as it
physics
gets.
theory.
This
Viewers.
can't get any rawer than
Viewers, zero. This is actually interesting stuff, okay? This took me many years to learn.
You.
this.
Or not learn.
How to talk on a microphone.
Sorry?
How to talk on a microphone. It took years to learn. Oh, God.
I'm still not used to it. I still like sit it here and then I move it all the time.
It's the way it's been mounted, mate.
No, I just like, I don't like it.
Stop fidgeting with it all the time. Stephen's a bit of a fidgeter. You
I
know
am.
what I mean? Touching everything.
One thing, Josh, that the viewers probably don't know is you're a chef, right? You own a restaurant, so they know that. You're 28. How did you start in the industry?
Well, man, I was actually pretty young. I worked in a family business, so there was a lot of hospitality back then, of multiple different venues, and I think I was pretty privileged to be in a very much a business environment from a very young age. So I had divorced parents, both in business, doing their own respective things. Mum owned beauty salons, business savvy. At that time, stepdad owned a business. Father owned multiple businesses and properties and whatnot. So at that time, I was really exposed to the works and the perks of how business was. I worked in my father's businesses a lot. I was in hospitality at the time in his venues. So straight away, you can imagine, 11, 12 years old, washing dishes as a dish hand. That's where it all starts, mate. Staying back late at night, doing restaurants that have like 200 covers, like some crazy numbers. And I'm like this 11, 12-year-old boy in the corner pumping out dishes.
How many dishes did you wash?
Oh, fuck, you don't even want to know, mate.
I do want to know, that's why I asked.
Mate, well, mate, if there was 200 customers and let's say they all had entree, main, dessert, that's 600 plates plus cutlery and all the other side dishes that go with it. So I could be washing anywhere between 600 to 900 pieces of crockery a night.
Why don't you just use the dishwasher?
Well, you do, but you have to process the dishes from there to the dishwasher.
Okay, so you weren't actually washing the dishes. You
No,
were kind of
you
just
do
like
give it a fucking rinse and a bit of a, and then you put it straight in there. Like, man, you're not gonna. The dishwasher doesn't have a magical hand that comes out and washes the dishes.
That's true.
This is what I teach little twats in my restaurant now. They come in there and they throw the fucking dishes straight in the dishwasher. They pull them out and they wonder why they're not clean. It's because you got to fucking pre-wash them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The dishwasher doesn't solve all your answers.
I don't pre-wash my dishes at home though, and they come out
Mate,
clean.
if you've got red wine jus, which is fucking sticky and dry because it's been on the plate, mate, it needs a little bit of love. Give it a bit of love. Give us some wash. So, mate, I did that. You know, from there you merge into, you know, a junior sort of chef doing your thing. At the time I was playing rugby league. So I was playing rugby league, actually playing both, whether it be school-based comp, rep comp or just a club. So I was having a bit of fun there. It did come to a point where my days were over in that particular area. This was on the central coast of New South Wales, so about an hour north of Sydney. And for people who are not in Sydney, if you're really outside of Sydney, your opportunities really shrink a lot.
Correct.
So I always knew if I was going to be really good at something, I needed to be where other good people were. I'm a big believer in you know, being in a winner's circle. You should all win together. So I packed up, left, came to Sydney, continued to work in hospo, slowly building myself up. Trialed some other bits and pieces just to make sure that the whole chefing thing for me was definitely the right thing. What did I trial? You know, I tried some carpentry for a bit during the day.
Oh, did you?
Nights, yeah.
How old were you when you did that?
I would have been 17.
Did you finish school?
No, year 11 I was gone. Start of year 11.
Wow.
Signed out, done.
Yeah.
So I actually started to do a bit of a dual apprenticeship. I had carpentry throughout the day, to get changed at night and go work in kitchens.
Did you really?
Yeah, I swear. It was brutal on the body though. Brutal. Like I was up at like 4 a.m. Driving to work, and to be honest, I absolutely hated the building industry. Hated it. I detested it. I didn't like the people I was working with. I didn't like the way they worked. I didn't like the energy level. I hated that they would have like 20 lunch breaks a day. I fucking hated it.
Awesome.
So I'd go from like this, really like fast paced kitchen, like dynamic, bang, 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 let's fucking go, to like this, like, oh yeah, like it'll get done. Like, yeah, sweet. Oh, Smoko. It was Smoko fucking 10 minutes ago. Like, so I don't know. I just felt like I was just fucking my body up all day. And I was like, okay, cool. I can learn a bunch of stuff here, but yeah, not for me. I'm going to dive into hospo 100%. So did that. Went to TAFE, did it all properly, got the apprenticeship, worked in a pretty funky little dynamic sort of French restaurant in the inner west. I wanted to find something that wasn't...
It's not the one in Petersham, is it?
No, it's not there anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
Owner was pretty crazy. Fun times though. You know, shout out to him if you ever watched it. I still got a lot of respect for you. I know we don't like each other anymore, but still love you. But anyway, I wanted to find something that wasn't like this huge, big commercial restaurant where you're just a number and you just get slotted in and off you go. So for me, it was like really important that I found something that was more boutique, that I would learn a lot, and I'd learn every section of the kitchen and a little bit about business as well. Like I wanted to make sure that I was across it.
Yep.
So went there as a young lad. It was quite funny. Did sort of like an interview type of thing. Spoke to the owner. The owner was kind of like, you know, fucking who's this, like French guy, like who's this like Aussie kid coming in here like thinking like he's all shit. But anyway, goes, all right, see you tomorrow, trial. I'm like, yeah, sweet. Like here's me, like all like jumpy and happy. Went and did the trial. So I rocked up the next day, was like, yeah, okay, cool, ready to go. Man, did I get my ass handed to me that night? Fuck me. Handed. It was like probably one of the most embarrassing moments of my life.
Why's that? How was it
For
handed
me,
to
I
you?
was like coming in there like pretty confident. I was like, I can do this. Like, I can do this, no problem. Like, yeah, sure. Been going to TAFE. I've worked in other restaurants before, but I've never worked at a restaurant at this level. So for me, I was just thinking it's like a quick little hop up to that level. But fuck, did I have a rude shock on my trial?
What are some of
Man.
the hard things that you had to do that you didn't know? Like, was it?
Well, it's just the finesse.
Was it?
It was the
Did
finesse.
they have a different dishwasher?
Yeah, they had a different. Yeah, they had a different dishwasher.
Open it.
Yo, no, it had way better soap in the dishwasher compared to any other restaurant. The soap was stronger.
It was open. It was. I had to
soap
take
was
it.
much stronger.
All right. So what were actually the difficult things?
Well, it's just the finesse and the cooking style. It
Yep.
was very different. It was more along the lines of that fine dining route and doing things with that French classic flair,
Right.
which is something that I never dived into before. So first night went in there, got my ass handed to me, walked away going, fuck. Like, yeah, I'm really off the mark. But really at this point, like I'm a teenager. Like really, how am I going to know? But I was always been hard on myself. I'm someone who's been hard on myself for fucking ever. So miraculously got the job. Don't know how. Got the job. Started. Fucking pumped it. Smashed it. Went from like really the bottom of the kitchen to the top in like a really quick time. Ended up being the right hand man to this guy. Pretty much bouncing between two venues now. And it's just like all of, I don't know, 19, 20 years old. Just absolutely fucking pumping it. Started to actually now branch out a little bit into the competitive chef career. So I actually started going to competitions and competing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Started competing.
I didn't know that.
Did heaps of competitions.
Really?
I actually hold some records to this day in a couple competitions having the highest score.
I don't want to say it. Let me just say it. The amount of dishes put into a
Fastest
dishwasher.
I had the cleanest plates.
So stupid. It's not even
Yeah, I
funny.
know
It's
you
not
are,
a
I
bad
know.
joke. It's just
Fucking
just
horrible.
funny.
He's gonna ride this thing for the next fucking half an hour now.
No, I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop. That's the last one.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
but
gonna-
what? Oh, some of those records.
Just like highest score.
Right.
In some of them.
So what do? You cook, and then
you get judged.
do you have to cook what they tell you?
You have a criteria of things you need to do
Yeah.
with actually an inventory list of ingredients and going, well, you need to achieve that with these ingredients. So they might say to you, hey, we need a 3-course meal,
Yeah.
but your entree needs to consist of these 3 ingredients. Your main course needs to consist of that 1 ingredient, and your dessert has to be a chocolate dessert. You can do whatever the fuck you want, but as long as you have an element of what they're asking for in those
Yeah,
3
wow.
dishes.
So it's like a real life MasterChef.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the real deal. Like, take away all the camera bullshit, take away all the ad breaks and cliffhangers, and that actually. And this is. I got a fucking bone to pick. I don't know if I should. Maybe I should.
Maybe not. Let's get to
He's
the
like,
next
what
one.
channel?
Yeah, maybe not.
He's like,
Anyway,
what channel are they
it's
with?
not. It's not as I won't pick the bone that hard.
He's worried about that compared to everything else he says.
Yeah, only because I do work with that particular person. But when you look at things like MasterChef, it's they say like a 1 hour challenge, but it's a little bit longer than that.
Right.
It's a bit longer. Where this is literally a fucking clock, like a timer on the wall, and you're sticking to that 100%. And if you're a minute after, you get deductions of points every single minute. Another point,
Really?
another point. Fucking oath. And they're saying like, let's go. Like you got a window now of 10 minutes to plate up your shit and get your thing done.
Yeah,
Have you
wow.
ever judged any of these?
So have I? Yeah, I have. I've been a judge as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I've also sat on both sides, which is cool.
So when you won the
Um,
competitions, like are they Sydney based? Are they Australia based? Like what
So
are
they
they?
usually start like on a regional level, then they like kind of grow to a state level, then a national level. So I actually won all of the metropolitan, regional, state, national. So
You did?
gold.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
So in 2014, I was the number 1 chef under 23.
2014.
Yeah.
How old were you then? 8.
I don't fucking
20?
know. Yeah, 20.
Holy hell.
So in 2014, I was the number 1 chef in the country at that time, and I won a national gold medal.
Are
Wow.
any of your
Beat- beat
gold
them all.
winning dishes on your menu now?
Nah.
No?
They're competition dishes. They're different.
Right.
It's
Right.
not like restaurant food.
Right.
So
What's the difference between a competition food and a
very,
restaurant food?
very detailed in a sense to you're point hunting. You know what I mean? You're point hunting. You're trying to do skills and detailed things to get points. In a restaurant, it's unrealistic and a lot of that stuff. Unrealistic. And you don't need to do it. So went to Perth 2014, massive competition, big crowds, big everything. 3-day competition.
Wow.
Like this thing was fucking mental, man. I was fucking exhausted. Trained for this for like over a year. Like TAFE sponsored me. They had my own kitchen with my own dishwasher.
Lucky.
Lucky I could wash my own dishes. So I trained my ass off for this. Trained every scenario. Trained. Judged, privately judged, everything. Trained extremely hard. Won all the competitions. Went to Perth. Was up against some pretty fierce competition. Not that fierce in a sense too. Like the top 3 was the top 3. Everyone else was nowhere near us.
Yeah.
But it was like me and someone else who we still chat today actually because I was always the one who beat him, and no one else could beat him. And he's an amazing chef, and you know, and we chat from time to time too because we have a lot of respect for each other. Went over there, won a national gold medal, and then got invited to go to Brazil to do the international competition.
Yeah, wow.
Really difficult time in my life at that point in time. I was in a bit of a crossroad. I didn't know what to do. I was living on my own. Had a partner at the time. I was on apprentice money, so really not much. The competition career doesn't really pay anything. It's not about that. Like they pay for everything, but without paying you.
Yeah.
It's just basically reputation. Probably would have had 20 newspaper articles by then, sponsorships, all this type of stuff. But I knew in the back of my head that it was this life that I was living wasn't going to be forever. And what happened was I ended up going to compete in New Zealand for the Oceania competition. And this really pissed me off because I went over there with other fellow countries that I was about to compete with in Brazil. And the direction and what was told was to go there, compete, but don't give it 100% because the people across the room for you are the people you're going to meet in Brazil. So we don't want to show all your weapons in the closet. You know what I mean? We want to show them a little bit to show you're serious, but we want you to hold it back. And I'm like, yeah, fair call. Yeah, I get that. So we'll take that garnish off. We won't do that dish. We'll change it a bit like that because we don't want them to copy it.
Was this your sponsors saying this?
No, this is like my coaches.
Your coach?
We had
Okay.
coaches. We had coaches, managers and everything. Yeah.
Right.
So, and the CEO who actually runs at that time, who ran the national competition for here, the CEO who runs that organization, like was basically like withdraw all this shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Like, okay, let's do that. So I went there, competed, walked away with 3rd place. That's fine. We knew that. And we got to the end of it, and I got this like really like rude remark from the CEO going, how does that feel? I went, what? I'm like, we're in fucking Hamilton right now. It was just like an hour out of Auckland.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? So how does it feel to come 3rd? Because I've just got like 1, 1, 1, 1 and everything. Gold. And I was like, mate, I'm stuck to the program. Like, program was the program. It's what I did. And it was just like this really like driving a screw into me. And like, man, fuck the effort I'd put into these competitions. Like, man, 6 a.m. in the morning we'd start training. I'd go train till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, jump in my car, drive to work, and keep going till midnight. Man, I was putting a lot of effort. I was representing, Sydney, New South Wales. I was representing now Australia, representing myself, representing my ambassadors, representing the the competition, the name of the competition that's held nationally and internationally. I was representing a lot, and man, I was putting in so much fucking hours. I was like a dog. And to get spoken to like that in another country and get treated like shit, and then come back and then have to basically explain myself of why I came third, and then for them to go and do a whole another evaluation on whether I was prepared to go to Brazil was a massive kick in the shin for me, because I was like, I fucking put in the time and I hold records in this space. Fuck you. Got to the point where Brazil was like close, man. Like it was going to happen, and I pulled the pin.
Yeah, right.
Pulled it. Rang up the CEO. I said, thanks, but no thanks. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate everything else. But what I don't appreciate is the way this has been handled. Thank you very much for your time. But I will not be representing my country in Brazil at the international competition. I won't be doing it. It was a massive shock to the system. It was very emotional for a lot of people, because it was this very long ride of extremely hard work at work and going through my apprenticeship to now competing for my country, like wearing the crest of arms on my chef jacket, like proper.
Yeah, cool.
And it was a very emotional thing, because I just felt like the whole thing got handled really poorly. But in saying that, in the back of my head, it was like, I need to now focus on my professional career, which is dealing with people.
Do you think the CEO just didn't like you and he wanted you to fail?
I don't know. I may never know what his ambition was there.
Yeah.
Don't know. Not sure. And I didn't welcome it. I didn't really care what his thought was.
Yeah, correct.
For me, it was like, well, now it's always been about you guys and about me being the monkey that wanted to dance. Guess what now, motherfucker? It's about me. So you stepped out of line. You said some things that were not cool. And unfortunately, now you're going to have to deal with not competing overseas with a chef.
How does that feel, CEO?
Yeah, fuck you.
Take that.
Do you think that these competitions are something that's really good for young up-and-coming chefs to look into doing? Like, do you think it helped you develop as a chef in your professional career?
I think young chefs should definitely do them, yes. And I really hope that a couple of these big competitions treat the chefs better. There's been a lot of people before me even who haven't made it as well because of the way they handle them.
Really?
Or the pressure they put them under. There's a lot of fucking pressure. Heaps. And you're
Why?
talking about highly delicate skills that take a lot of time and effort to perfect.
Yeah.
Like a lot. You're not talking about cooking a steak in front of a plate. You're talking about spherification. You're talking about sugar molds. You're talking about high-end desserts that got crazy skill and technique in it. I mean, that you have to wear fucking special gloves to handle and the heat lamps and shit. Like,
Yeah, wow.
like proper shit. Like, and the best thing that I would get out of all this is that it actually made me a super rounded chef.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking can go and make chocolate right now for you.
Yeah, really?
I can go and do
Can
a
you?
sugar fucking oath.
But could you
What do you mean?
make chocolate for me?
Well,
How do you make chocolate?
Well, there's two different types. There's making it from scratch, which is using the cocoa pod, fermenting it and then grinding it. And then there's the other side, which is tempering chocolate, which is actually using chocolate which is already done, but then crystallizing chocolate to make it a harder, more robust chocolate. So you can feel chocolates and ganaches inside. So when you get it, it crunches and cracks.
Yeah, wow.
So I did all that. I worked with some of the best chefs in the country, getting training on how to make the best pasta. I worked with some of the best pastry chefs in the country, how to do the best sugar molds and all this shit. So in a sense, to my exposure of what skills I learned, you can't replace that.
Yeah.
Can't replace it.
100%.
And that's the biggest thing that I'm most grateful for when it came to competing, was I was exposed to everyone and everything at my fingertips. If I wanted to learn something, I'd fucking learn it. And that's what really helped me bounce forward in my own career after competing.
Yeah.
So now it was like, cool, I could take all that shit, put it into myself, And now I sit back going, in any job possible, oh yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, I can do that. Oh, I can jump on pastry section.
Yeah.
Oh, I can go cook a steak. Oh, I can jump on fish section. I can jump on entrees.
Yeah.
I could do everything. So I was really well rounded. So that kind of happened. Got rid of that. Completely focused on my professional career. Took an executive chef job in the city at like 21 years old.
Yeah. What does executive
but-
chef mean?
The highest of
The
the
head
high.
chef.
And I was fucking young, like really young.
Yeah.
Got a lot of promises there that were going to happen. A renovation didn't happen. Big fucking waste of time and a big bunch of time wasting losers. Like, honestly, they just promised the world, and I got out of a pretty decent place to go and jump over there just to expand.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. But anyway, that's fucking life. If all you guys think it out there that everything's going to happen exactly the way it is, you're dreamers. It's not going to happen. You got to let time play its course. So that didn't happen. Fucked off to Japan for a little bit. I was like, you know what? Let's go do some soul searching in Japan. What a better place to eat fucking ramen every day and go in and out of Michelin star restaurants there and get some good experience. Man, those guys are as close to army, military fucking chefs that you're ever going to see.
Really?
Fucking oath. Ridiculous. You go in their kitchen, mate, no one's talking. Don't even look you in the eyes, mate. Everyone's
Wow.
fucking quiet. That's like military shit.
Did you work in the kitchens over there?
Just did some experience, yeah, in some Michelin star places, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, which was great. And got to go into some kitchens and I got to eat a lot of them too.
Yeah.
So I'd actually, the places that I was good doing experience in, I also wanted to experience it as a customer too. So I actually did both. So as I went there, I was like, can I make a booking as well? Can I eat here? And they're like, yeah, of course you can. Like, you know, like we'd love you to have the experience of both. And I was like, fuck yeah. So Japan was cool. Man, packed my bag, fucked off. Didn't go with anyone. Went by myself to a country I've never been to before. It's kind of cool. Did that, came back. I was like, okay, cool. My job's finished up in the city being an executive chef. It was never going to happen. Like, we all knew that there was issues there. So it was never going to be a renovation. There was never going to be all this shit. They just wanted a band-aid for a certain amount of time. And hey, I did a great job there. So I was like, fuck, what do I do? So a mate reaches out, who's also a fellow chef, going, mate, I've got a cooking school business around the country. My national operations manager has just left. Do you want to jump in for a while until I find someone else? And I was like, fuck, really? Like doing cooking classes and shit? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck, bro. I was like, I don't really know like how to do that shit. Like, it's not my thing. Like, remember, I'm still like 20, 21 years old. Like, it was fucking fish out of water for me. So at that time, I was like, fuck, okay. No dramas. Like, all right, I'll fucking come and do something. No dramas. Meantime, at that point, I was also operating another smaller business that I created myself called Lean and Clean Foods. So I had 6 gyms buying health food packs from me. And I used my brother, who was a bodybuilder, as like the pin-up boy for the brand. It was really cool. So I had fridges in gyms and I had this little kitchen that I would just rent off someone, a little commercial kitchen. A couple nights a week, I'd go in there and work till like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, bang out all these meals, put them all in their little cardboard box covers and shit. And then I'd spend a couple of days a week driving around delivering all the meals to everyone.
Yeah, really?
Just because I just wanted to build a business on the side.
So you were the first muscle chef.
Quite a while ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're fucking cool meals. Like, I cooked them myself.
Yeah, wow.
So, man, I had clients everywhere, man. Like, sometimes I'd be driving around, like, all hours of the night, just dropping people's fucking food off to their doorsteps.
Yeah, wow.
It was really cool. So, I was doing that. I was doing this cooking school around the country, and I was like, I kind of like this whole cooking school thing. It's pretty cool. Like, I knew it was never going to be my forever thing, but I was really embracing the moment, going, well, this is another opportunity within hospitality that is a legitimate business, teaching people how to cook. And then came the skill of not only teaching people how to cook, but also understanding 20 people in front of you of how the fuck are they going to learn this?
Yeah.
And them getting financial value out of it, and them sitting back going, fuck, that was an awesome class. Then trying to sell them retail items at the end on all of our sponsored items, like a knife brand, this brand, a salt rub brand, whatever, would have opportunity at the end to sell retail. So you're building up this relationship for like 3 hours, You get him seated down when they're all warm and fuzzy and had a few drinks, and they're all munging into their meals, and then you hit him with the fucking retail spiel. Man, at that age, man, I was fucking just in kitchens, like just doing my thing. Now I'm a fucking salesman and a chef facilitator teaching people how to cook.
Yeah, wow.
And then getting commission on my sales afterwards. It was fucking cool. I didn't mind it. Now in ops manager role, temporarily. Now flying from Brisbane to Melbourne, Sydney, jumping in between different classes, doing shit. And it was a really interesting job for a little while. So, and in fact, and I don't know, maybe I need to ring the owner and ask him, but I think I still hold the record. I'm a fucking recorder. I hold the record for the only chef, not only despite I was a young buck, but the only chef to get the whole class to rebook for another class. Every single person in the class.
No, really?
The only one.
Yeah, wow.
So I had cats in there who were old fucking people. I still chat to some of them. Yeah,
The class
you
was
oldie.
dishwashing 101.
Which one? Yeah,
The class
I watched.
dishwashing 101.
Correct.
Yeah.
I usually get them to wash the dishes, but fuck it. So I was the only one. So I actually really smashed it for him. I applied myself. I made it happen. I made it work, and I fucking conquered it, man. I pumped it out. So doing that in the background, I'd get home and I'd start typing emails to people non-stop. I started typing emails to all the best restaurants in the world. Hi, my name's Josh, such and such. I want to introduce myself. I'm a chef from Australia, blah, 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 blah. I could probably go on my laptop and find some of these emails easily. Introducing myself and asking for the opportunity. Fucking did it a lot. Like there is a chart of restaurants that are 1 to 100 that you can easily look at, like top 50, top 100 restaurant in the world. You'll find a computer. Just sat at home after work, send another email, and just see what the responses would come back as. So I did get a response back from someone. Well, I got a few actually, but there was one that not only responded to my email but also reached out on Instagram. So that was the only person who did it, and it was actually a French chef in San Francisco, Dominic Crenn. So I was getting ready for a cooking class over in Willoughby in Sydney, and my Instagram pings. I'm like, oh, fuck, who's this? Click on it, Dominic Crenn. At this time, we're talking #1 influential female chef in the world at that time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
At the time. #1. She's still very influential now, without a doubt. I asked her what would be the opportunity to come work there. She's like, yeah, cool, like, let's do it. Mate, she fucking rang me then. We were having a chat on the phone while I'm setting up fucking a cooking class. We're having a full yarn.
Yeah, wow.
Hello, Joshua, how are you? Yes, of course. Yeah. You got to 3 weeks, you can come here. I was like, motherfucker, 3 weeks? I got to pack up my whole shit. I got to go. I was like, holy fuck. Yeah, okay, I can do that. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, wow.
So told the boss, I was like, mate, I'm going to go work in the top 50 restaurant in the world. He's like, fuck, really? And I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, oh, okay, cool. All right. So that happened. Packed my shit. Left my girlfriend behind at the time. I said, I'm out of here. So
Very Josh move.
We're still together. You know, we just had to have that sort of long distance situation. But
did it work out?
fucking kind of, not really. Anyway, I had a good time in San Fran anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
Okay. So flew into LAX, spent some time with my auntie at the time. Spent a week with her. Flew up to San Fran, 45-minute flight. Settled in right on fucking Fillmore Street. Went on to Craigslist. Fuck yeah, Craigslist. Went on to Craigslist, found a place. Lucky the guy was a fucking legend. He was really cool. Fillmore Street. The restaurant was on Fillmore Street too, but just on the other end of Fillmore Street. I was
it
kind
up
of
the
like
hill or down the hill?
down the hill. Like, and this was one of the hills where the tram had to go around to a different hill just to get up.
Oh, really?
It was one of those hills.
Yeah, right.
You know those hills.
Yes.
You've been there, haven't you?
Yes.
There's some hills in San Fran that are just fucked. And this was one of the hills that was fucked because the tram had to go fucking around the detour because it was that steep. Like, cars would slide going up this fucking hill. So, went to the restaurant, sussed it all out, fucking pretty much sussed out the whole of San Fran. I reckon I walked probably most streets of that joint.
Yeah, wow.
Like, fucking every street. I was there.
Yeah.
Every single day, I would fucking get stronger at conquering this hill. The hill was my biggest thing every day. I fucking missed that hill. Wait, this hill was, and it had the stairs on the side.
Oh, no,
So
yeah.
it was a
I know
proper
what you
Oh.
hill.
mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, it was fucking like that.
Where's Fillmore Street?
Fillmore Street.
How do I spell it?
Filmore. Fillmore. So conquered this hill. Started at this place, Atelier Cren. Interesting place.
Oh, I know exactly where that is.
There you go.
Yeah.
And on my days off, I was actually working, staging, as we say in our language, staging. I was doing work experience at another 3-star Michelin restaurant just for the fucking sake of it.
Yeah,
I
wow.
wanted to compare two different places.
Were they both 3-star?
Atelier Cren at the time was 2 and Koi was 2. Then they both ended up getting 3 on the next round. So
Wow.
like they would have been reviewed during the time that I was
They
there.
were 3-star.
3-star Michelin. Big
Yeah,
dogs.
wow. I've never been to a 3-star before.
It's pretty
I
intense.
should have asked you before I went to San Francisco.
Should have. Fucked up.
Were you mates then?
Don't know.
I think we started hanging out after.
Maybe.
Maybe before. I don't know.
Maybe just before.
Yeah, just before.
But worked there. Very interesting concept. I didn't fall in love with the style of the food, nor did I fall in love with the style of the chefs at that particular restaurant that I went over there for. It wasn't my jam. And I love the fact that I ended up taking another job somewhere else on my days off.
Yeah.
It was the best thing ever because it was like seeing 2 completely different kitchens with 2 completely different cuisines and 2 different skill sets. So I was working on my days off over at Koi with it, like one of the best chefs in America by far. And he's over in Hong Kong now, but he was fucking amazing. Like this guy was unbelievable detail. Like the most bullshit shit. If I showed you photos of his food, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like this has so much work and detail and everything he did. It was like so impressive. Like I was actually really taken back by him. And also a really calm dude. Like everyone else in the kitchen was fucking crazy, but him standing at the top was like super calm. Like everything was all good. Like at one point I cut myself and he was like he couldn't have fucking done anything more for me to make sure I was all right. And I was like, mate, it's all good. Like I'm fine. It's okay. Like so super, super nice guy. Really enjoyed that whole situation. So it got to a point where I was fucking, man, I was working like some serious fucking hours. Like I think my alarm went off at like 5:20 in the morning. 5:20. And San Fran is cloudy, it's fucking windy, and it's cold.
Cold, yeah.
Cold. It's an interesting city. You've got the 3 very interesting demographics there. It's the drug capital of America. It's the gay capital of America. And it's also the homeless capital of America. So you've got 3 strong independent communities coming together in one town, one city. And if you're someone who's very closed-minded or is not accepting of any of those things, then it will be a very hard place for you to fit in. So for me, it was a big eye-opener because I saw a lot of different styles of communities within San Francisco that I had to adapt to. Walking down the street wasn't like walking down the street in Australia. It was walking down the street with a line of 200 or 300 homeless people who wanted to get food.
Yeah, wow.
Walking down the street was people setting up tents for the night to sleep,
Oh, wow.
sleeping on churches. So when I'm walking to work at 5:45 in the morning, like I usually would in my normal stride, while on the phone to back in Australia, because that's what I do every morning is wake up early, chat on the phone back to Australia, whoever my family members are at the time, whoever's ringing me, have a chat walking to work, and like literally get to a point where I'm almost stepping over people to get to work. It was pretty crazy, and fucking cold, like freezing. I was wearing a snow jacket walking to work. Big long hours, a lot of unnecessary hours, and I got to a point where I just started looking on Gumtree for shit. I was like, I want to find a restaurant. Like I think I'm ready to come home and open up my own. But at this time, I also got in contact with someone else in Northern California who just passed the Napa region, Sonoma region, the wine country.
Yeah.
There was this beautiful little place called Calistoga, which is where all the hot springs are and shit. It's
Right.
really beautiful town. Like if anyone has the opportunity to travel through California north, and go up through Meadowwood, go up to Calistoga where the hot natural springs are and that.
I didn't
Like
go there.
really cool little towns, like great food, Michelin star restaurants, like beautiful.
Missed that again.
Missed out again. We'll have to go back there. Beautiful
I
little
go to the
places.
same place twice.
So I met this gentleman who owned hotels all through there and stuff, and we got pretty close with this guy, and really interesting, artistic type of guy, obviously a very successful guy, and he was really motivated to like open a restaurant for me in Northern California. He's like, let's do it. Like, cool. I need a good young passionate chef like you to come on board. So like my home was almost going to be my forever home there.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it was pretty fucking close. So got the phone call back from Australia where the missus called. And I spoke to my missus' parents at the time, and they were like, "Oh, we want to invest into something back here. We've got some money to splurge out." So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I think maybe it's time for me to go home." Like, really, for people who do live in Australia, for people who travel abroad or live in Sydney or have anything good here, it's very hard to move out of here permanently because we've got it pretty good.
100%.
Like, we've got a good fucking country.
I enjoy California, but I don't think I could live in California.
No. The style of living was
Yeah.
way different comfort style to here.
Yeah.
Still really cool place, but to live there full time was sort of like, it just didn't have the beauty that Sydney had,
Yeah.
nor the freedoms that Sydney have.
Yeah, I agree.
Or the cleanliness as well. Like
All the
man,
people.
Yeah, fuck.
The
Crazy
people
shit.
that Sydney has.
So I was like, no, it's time to come home. So during a staff lunch meal, I was on Gumtree. I found a little rundown cafe, and mind you, I saw heaps of other shit, and I inquired on lots of other stuff prior to seeing this particular place, and nothing spoke to me. Nothing. I was like, nah, not for me. So found this place, got some people back here to go have a look at it. They all thought I was fucking crazy. Like, it's this little rundown cafe underneath another iconic restaurant that's been there for 15 years. Why the fuck would you do that? And I said, nah, that's the place.
I think it's a
stuck to
better
my
idea.
guns. Stuck to my guns,
Get
mate.
more foot traffic because they're going to go up there.
Well,
and they see
but
yours.
you've seen the position of my restaurant. It's not a foot traffic place at all. It's the
It's not the
most
place you have now, is it?
unorthodox restaurant you'd want to have.
Are you talking about the place you have?
Sorry?
Are you talking about the place you have now?
Quite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about that space?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think I was talking about?
I thought you were. I didn't know. This is the first time I'm hearing this story myself. I'm very interested.
So so I was on Gumtree. So I found this place, which is where Quio is now. And as I was saying before, a lot of other places didn't stack up. I was like, nah, if that wasn't right, then this wasn't right. And this wasn't right, and this wasn't right. The location wasn't 100% right, and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay. In a business park, it's among other restaurants. It's on the water, even though the water's not anything fucking special where it is, but it's still in the water. My landlord seems to believe that it's fucking premium fucking location because it's on a man-made lake. But anyway, chat
No
to you later
comment.
about it.
No comment. No comment.
Yeah, no comment. And I said, no, this is the one. So went back that night, got on the phone again to Australia, going, no, this is the one. We need to do it. We're going to make this work. Let's do it. So went the next day. It's weird how this all kind of worked out, by the way. It's fucking strange. I preempted back at home that at some point of my Michelin star career, it wasn't overly going to work forever, but it was something that I needed to do. I needed to run away from Australia for a bit. And it wasn't running away because I did anything wrong or people were after me. It was the fact that at the age that I was, with the ambassadorships that I were, man, I had an ambassadorship of a car company, a
Yeah.
French car company. I was driving cars at like 19, 20, 21 years old. I was endorsed by them. So you can imagine in Sydney with this big stigma, like of this 21-year-old guy coming in there trying to be a head chef of like a leading restaurant. It just was never going to sit well with me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to get out of this country. So we're a place where no one knows me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to go somewhere else. So when I went to these places and went to these Michelin star restaurants, I never really told them the whole detail of who I was, or my experience, or anything, or my sponsorships, or nothing. I just was keeping it really under wraps because I was there for a mission. My mission was to go there and have the most fruitful experience in the best of the best that I could possibly have. So preempted the whole situation that at some point something was going to happen. I remember the day that I was leaving and packing my bag, I went to my little wine fridge thing that I had and pulled out one of the best Barossa red wines I had, and I put it in my bag. In my head, I was like, I'm gonna gift this to Dominic on the day that I leave, and tell her thank you so much for coming. But in my head, it was like, oh no, I need to get her a gift. Like it was like one of these things. Like in my head, I was like, no, I will be leaving. I'm not going there forever.
Yeah,
I will be coming home. And this bottle of wine signifies the fact that this is my thank you to her and me departing. So I put this wine in my bag. Next day, went to work, came in there. I shook her hand, gave her the bottle of wine, and said, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for everything else. Mind you, we had a few issues in our employment there. There was a few things that I saw that I didn't believe in. There was a few things that her chefs were doing without her knowledge. And there was a few things that I picked up that she didn't listen to. Then I almost got an apology back later because I red flagged it pretty early.
Right.
So there was some general respect there, and I gave her the bottle of wine. I said, thank you so much. The sous chef at the time, like, you know, fair enough. Like, you know, we're not going to move forward. Fine. Good. So got this restaurant, got the first flight back. I actually rang my auntie who's in a travel agency. She owns her own. Said to her, can you move my flight forward to today? She's like, what? And I'm like, tonight. So I went out for lunch with a few of the chefs because I had built in some mates there as well. You know, you work with them every day. We went out, had a good meal. Some of them were like super emotional about it because like we had a fucking fun time. Like, man, like, we'll finish at like midnight. We'll be out drinking. They'll piss till 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, and then we'll be fucking back at it at like 6 a.m. again.
Fuck.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah, wow.
Brutal. But it was fucking fun. Like, we'd be Ubering at fucking 3, 4 o'clock in the morning from each other's houses and shit. It was fucking fun. I'm not going to take it away from anyone. And got on the plane. You know, a couple of the people there who were pretty close were like, oh, let us come to the airport and say goodbye. And I was like, no, like, just let me go. Like, I'm going. I'm out of here. Left, came back. Literally went straight to that place, put a deposit on it, and started the process of now owning a restaurant. It started off super basic. At that time, the business partners I had were like incredibly restrictive of everything. You know, I've just come from top 50 in the world now to someone who said they wanted to invest in something, but now they're like, well, let's be incredibly short with our money and let's renovate things as we go. So it was really hard to excel at the level I wanted to because I was constantly restricted back in every single way possible.
Yeah, wow.
That was the difference between an investor's mentality versus someone who had a different mentality.
Are they still involved in the business today?
No, I'm a sole business owner now.
Right, so you paid them out.
Correct. So
Is that are you still in that relationship with that girl?
No, unfortunately.
Did it end?
No, actually, fortunately. If you're watching, fortunately, I'm not with her. Yeah, and for my current missus. It's a hard conversation to have, but some people in this world will never know the struggles you're going through, unless they put themselves in your shoes. And unfortunately at that time, it didn't matter to that female that I was financially vested with her parents. It didn't matter that I was building a future for us and the family. Nothing else mattered besides herself. And unfortunately, she ended up going with another guy, which for me was quite hard because I've just come back from overseas. I've put my heart and soul into my career. I'm now building our career, and look what you've done. You've run away with another person, and now you're expecting me to be left with your parents to run business. How fucking awkward is that?
That's a worst case scenario.
Thank you.
That is the worst case
Bro.
scenario. There is no worse scenario than that.
Thank you. And then we're not talking about any ordinary people. We're talking about very particular people too. And we were very close. Like, I was considered like a son to them. Very close. Mate, I was closer. And I don't care if their kids are watching this shit too. I was closer than you were to them. I did more for them than you did for them. Without all the bullshit. True story.
Yeah.
Because I respected them. But like anything, mate, things needed to change.
Yeah.
And COVID was the change.
So how old were you at this point? What year was this?
It's like 24.
24. So
24, 25. 25.
So that's 3 years
Maybe
ago?
3 years ago?
Yeah. So how long were you in San Fran for?
Almost a year.
All right.
A little bit less. Yeah. Spent a bit of time there.
Yeah.
But did like trips to LA, San Fran. Yeah, I was around.
Yeah.
So, mate, that's in the back of my head. I persisted for about another year trying to make that relationship work with a female, but I knew deep in my heart, in my soul, that I could never ever love her again the way I loved her before. I knew that. You know what I mean? I had that feeling in me that what she's done is what she's done, and I could never ever overcome the feeling that I had for her before after what she did. I was always going to be hurt by it. So we decided actually to let it go. And it was a rough breakup. It got pretty bad at some point with her emotions. I tried to keep as a level head as possible. But then continued business for another year later with her parents.
Yeah, well.
Separated, her in a new relationship, me in a new relationship. That shit's fucking hardcore. Someone give me a fucking gold medal. So
Or a bronze.
or a bronze. Yeah, fuck you. So, mate, COVID was real the tipping point of, and mind you, this is even more fucked up. I opened up another restaurant. So I had two.
Which restaurant was that?
The other one at Baulkham Hills. I'm just not going to say their name on here.
Oh, okay.
Which was-
I was going to ask about that. I won't ask about that.
Yeah. So I opened up another restaurant, which I got heavily scrutinized over because I wanted to start to branch out. And I was almost forced at the time to include them in that deal too, to keep building our restaurants and hospitality ventures up.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where, without going into any detail because you don't need them, COVID time, we thought it was the best time to split. Let's put all our eggs on out of the basket, put on the table. Let's sort out all our affairs. Let's figure out where all the money is. Let's split it. Unfortunately, I had to let go of a restaurant that I just built, like literally just built.
Yeah, wow. Did they take that over or?
Yeah, they currently operate and run it. And hey,
Nice.
if they're doing well, like happy for you because it's a beautiful little place. It was always designed to be a beautiful little place. So we split straight away. I was like, I need to rebuild Quio.
Yeah.
I need to rebuild it. So from day one, renovate. This needs to be now my identity. This restaurant needs to be 100% me.
Yeah.
So renovated it. And mate, I'm still fucking renovating it. I don't think I'll ever stop renovation of this place. From there, all this other shit, I do business consulting. You know that. I do all these restaurants I write menus for, wine lists for, staff training.
Did you have the hat previously to them splitting, or did you
First
get it
6
after?
months of opening the restaurant.
The
Straight away.
hat.
Straight away.
Wow. I'm actually really impressed by this conversation. I didn't
Straight
know
away.
90% of this information.
Yeah, there was a lot of hardcore spots
Yeah.
in this whole conversation of, and you can just imagine the emotional sabotage in a lot of this stuff, how hard it was to overcome these boundaries, because you're dealing with people who you like genuinely loved at some point in your life. Like you're trying to like split up. Like there's money involved, there's people involved, there's emotions involved. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So through my experience, I got into the consulting bandwagon, and I created a company called True Food Australia.
Yeah.
Quite a while ago, and now it would not be, it's uncommon that you'd see some of my food that I've written or trained in some restaurants in Sydney and whatnot.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Incredible.
And wine lists that I've helped written, staff that I've helped train. So I've got this beautiful company on the side which allows me to connect with other businesses and see their struggles and hopefully overcome them. So where am I at today? Got a beautiful wine business I started 3 years ago down in Barossa Valley. Absolutely love it. I'm a big fan of wine. Everyone who knows me, I collect wine. My businesses are a big portion of wine. And now I'm a winemaker. This is a business that I want to hand on to my kids one day. This is the whole point of this, was to hand something on to my kids. And I can't hand on a restaurant because a restaurant is 100% a business where if you're not in it, you're not in it.
Yeah.
And I get so many of these builders and developers who want to flush away tax money and want to go invest into a business. Mate, they walk away with their hands in the air going, fuck man, I don't know how you did it.
Nah.
I cannot work it out. If you're not in hospo or you haven't done it for a while and you understand the ins and outs of hospo, my stern advice is not to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's a different style of business. It's a different animal.
Yeah.
100%. And it's not an easy one.
Well, I've watched a lot of Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. Okay.
But that's what I do to businesses.
Well, I was going to say that, right? Because I'm not an expert in. I love food. I believe I have a good taste in food. Do you think I have good taste in food, Josh? Do you think I can tell?
Oh yeah, you're very particular. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I know when something is good and when it's not good. And I have Josh to back me up. So watch out, restaurants of Sydney. No, but even to the like this is a thing you may back me up with, Josh. Right? Menu.
Yeah.
Everyone just kind of thinks that a menu is just built on good food.
Yep.
However, there's more mechanics behind that. Like, how does it flow in the kitchen? What's the
mate.
complexity of the dish?
There's a lot of things that need to be considered when writing a menu. From where it comes from to can it be supplied continuously? Can it be prepped in a way where it's time effective? And can it be served in a way where it's time effective?
Yeah.
Where people of all skills can achieve it.
Yeah.
You know how fucking hard that is?
Be very difficult.
So, mate, I've been dedicating my life to this skill,
yeah.
to this craft. And, man, I'm still learning shit every day.
Yeah.
And there's no greater privilege than to go to other restaurants and for them to call me and go, we need your expertise. Fuck, it makes me feel good. Because it means that I've built a reputation up enough where people can find trust in me and trust in my teachings and trust in my training, that I can go there and turn a business around like what Kitchen Nightmares do.
Yeah.
So operate that. I operate CL Wines, which is a beautiful company. Now we have restaurants around Sydney who have it on their wine list.
Congratulations.
Stoked. So once again, I'm connecting with people in other restaurants and they're pouring my wines. Their sommeliers are chatting about my shit. That's fucking cool. We have this wonderful podcast and I feature on Channel 10 every once in a while, doing cooking shows on there. And what's to come? A couple more restaurants. One we all know about and one we don't need to talk about.
Correct, because we're still trying to get it done.
Sure. Shut up, Stephen. So, mate, that was probably the quickest way that I could go hopscotch through that situation.
That was actually really incredible and insightful. I really enjoyed listening to you say that. I don't know. So Josh and I have only known each other for how long's that? 6 months?
Probably, yeah.
About 6 months.
Yeah.
But from day one, she's like, boom.
Yeah, I
done.
was like, come get a fucking wine. Next minute, we're sitting down just getting hammered.
I didn't know it. 90% of that story. All I knew was Quia, and that's it. To be fair, Josh and I are usually really busy every time we see each other.
We are fucking real busy.
But that's amazing, mate. Thank you for your story, Joshua Mason, Quio Dining, and also
Joshua Mason.
professional. And also, I thought his restaurant was called Koi until
Loser.
I met him. So
Qua.
Quia.
What?
Quia.
What?
Quia.
Means what?
I know you told me that. Hey? Yeah.
J'aime ça quoi. C'est quoi. Yeah.
All right,
No.
thank you, Josh.
Thanks, man.
It's good insight. We really
No, it's
enjoyed
good
it.
to share. You know, a lot of people don't know the whole story. They only see what's on the surface.
I didn't even know.
Sometimes it's good to get a shovel, people, and dig a bit fucking deeper.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to another episode. We'll catch you again
Very soon.
very soon next
It
week.
was good. It was good to connect, and thank you, everyone. And we'll see you very soon.